Hello there. Um, just wanted to kind of record this quick video because honestly, wanted to test the direct upload to YouTube through my phone's camera. So I'm giving it a shot. But real quickly, briefly, wanted to talk about an individual named Joyce Riley. She was a radio talk show host based in Versailles, Missouri. She hosted a program called The Power Hour, and I think it's still syndicated by the Genesis Communications Network, same network that does Alex Jones, etc., etc. And it was kind of in my earlier years in college when I started exploring these people with these different viewpoints regarding many different subject matters. And of course, as you grow older, you kind of evolve a little bit, and you change and you step back and reflect on the things that you've observed. And on quite a few points of view, I find myself disagreeing with. But during the time that, early 2000s, during my college career, these individuals actually called attention to things that other venues didn't. Things like militarization of the police brutality, spying on American citizens, etc., so on and so forth. Um, these were issues that a lot of larger corporate-backed outlets on TV, newspapers, and magazines, they didn't really seem to care about as much. Um, and it's only now that people are well aware of entire gatherings of people who go behind closed doors, literally, and try to shape world policy. Emphasis on the word try, because quite a bit of the time they don't succeed. But the fact is, individuals like Riley and others, though they promoted certain ideas that were questionable by many, from the perspectives of many, they also brought attention to issues like that. And it shows how people who are passionate enough in what they believe in can actually amass a fairly decent following. And I've been out of the loop regarding what has happened to the Power Hour. I met her one time at the University of Central Missouri. There was a college organization called the Third Party Alliance at the time. It was a group that promoted the idea that there's more than two political parties in the United States with different points of view. And controversial films were among the things that they showed to people to kind of get them to think that there's more than a couple of perspectives on things in life, even ones that we don't agree with. But Riley used to co-host the show with an individual named Dave vonKleist, and he was the voice behind and kind of the face behind 9/11 in plain sight, or as he referred to it during that time, 911 in plain sight. Riley was, figurehead-wise, was the mover and shaker behind the film Beyond Treason, the film that talked about Gulf War syndrome, experimentation on the military, etc., etc. And these are controversial topics, to be certain. That's why this video is not going to be monetized, because it probably would get turned off anyway. Then really don't care about money regarding YouTube videos at this point. I don't make high enough quality for them to, from my point of view, to even be worthy of turning AdSense on for them. So she passed away today. she apparently had been battling cancer. And from what little I looked into, she had some regrets in her life. And I bet one of them, I hope that one of them was splitting from Dave vonKleist. They both were co-hosts of the Power Hour, and they had a falling out. He went off to, I think, Argentina. I don't know if he's back in the States or not, but he expatriated from the United States for a time at the very least. And I lost tabs at what was going on in that type of scene. I come back now to find that the Power Hour has become the Power Hour Nation. I guess it's an entire group of people doing this now, so I'll have to look into it and see where this thing has evolved, because that's part of the point of the next report is the overlooked pop culture part. Those areas where people have these different points of views that I don't entirely agree with all of them, but they are worth taking a look at. Because as we learned during the election cycle last year, trying to sweep certain things under the rug, that doesn't work anymore. The further you drive something underground, the more they're able to build up a movement and sympathizers. It doesn't work. And who knows? There's some things that they can call attention to that, oh my goodness, may not have had attention otherwise. Because though there are points of view regarding the border that I don't necessarily agree with, when it came to things like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which could have been potentially very disastrous for all economies involved, you bet they were talking about that. And they are also talking about other issues, such as legalization of marijuana, the war on drugs, and why it's not a good idea in the first place. And for anybody, I don't mean to be totally political in this one, but I'm going to put this one in there for those of you who are saying, oh, you don't want that stuff legalized. Let me reiterate a point I was trying to make earlier. The more you try to drive something underground, the more desirable it becomes. Quit making these things taboo. When you back off on that stuff and treat it as a medical epidemic and not a criminal epidemic, addiction will actually drop. Other countries have tried this, and they found that it does in fact work. So, anyway, Riley had interviewed several guests that were unique, and they had a platform that they otherwise wouldn't have. And she was right here in Missouri, which is, one of those things that surprised me. So, she was, from what I gathered, interesting, to say the least. And of course, she's human. Nobody's without their faults. But over the next several months, I'm going to be following up on this because I kind of lost tabs on some of the things that have been happening and what I perceive as the quote-unquote political underground. And kind of take, a critical look and give you an outside-in look of sorts at that. So, in the meantime, I'm going to be working on the next episode of the podcast shortly after this video is done, and we'll go from there. But you all have a wonderful day, and hopefully more videos like this will come in the future. Take care.